You ever wake up one day and everything just feels off? Like someone slipped something into your reality and suddenly nothing makes sense anymore. Keys gone, job lost, mind shattered, will to live checked out. And you're sitting there asking yourself, what the hell just happened? Well, here's the twist. That wasn't bad luck. That wasn't karma. That wasn't even you losing your grip. That was dark magic, baby. The kind that doesn't come with a spell book or a coven chanting in Latin. No, this stuff is slick. It walks like healing energy, talks like self-care, but it's got claws underneath all that light picture. It black candles dripping wax on your kitchen counter. A pentagram drawn in expired ketchup, because evil doesn't care about expiration dates. Yeah, the devil got busy. And guess what? You were the main course. You didn't see it coming. Mostly because you weren't looking. You thought life was just hitting a rough patch. Maybe you were losing your edge, your luck, your mind. But no, this wasn't random chaos. You were caught red-handed, not in a lie or a betrayal, but in the act of watching your own world collapse like a sandcastle at high tide. Imagine being the kid in the cookie jar, except the cookies are your dreams, and the jar is your fragile mental state. And when you finally peek inside, all that's left is crumbs and regret. Don't act surprised. You thought things fell apart because of bad decisions. Nah, that was spiritual sabotage dressed up as fate. Whispering sweet lies, like you had it coming, or this is just who you are. But here's the kicker. The real damage wasn't done by someone else. It was done by the voice inside your head that let it happen. The one that said, maybe I deserve this, or I guess this is just my life. Now that voice, it opened the door wide for the goat man in the velvet robe, doing spiritual push-ups on your spine while telling you self-sabotage is sexy. So, yeah, you were caught red-handed, not in wrongdoing, but in letting the darkness in without even realizing it. And now you're paying the price for playing host to something you never meant to invite. Forget everything you thought you knew about the devil. He's not some horned figure with a pitchfork grinning from the shadows. Nope. He's way smarter than that. He shows up, wearing healing energy like it's the latest fashion trend. He speaks in green flags and emotional intelligence, convincing you he's here to help while quietly stealing your peace. Like a raccoon in a Gucci suit, sneaky, stylish, and always one step ahead. You thought you were dating a free spirit, but turns out you married a curse. You thought you were manifesting abundance, but all you got was a narcissist with a god complex and a vape addiction. Hopes that wasn't the universe playing tricks. That was Beelzebub hijacking your chakras. Like Bluetooth signals streaming demon jazz straight into your soul at 300 a.m. And what happens? You wake up crying over your high. School gym teacher wondering why life feels so damn heavy. You lit a candle, asked for a sign, and the universe handed you chaos dressed up as clarity. Classic move. The devil doesn't need to hide. He just needs you distracted long enough to believe his version of the truth. There's something about 300 a.m., that eerie hour when the world goes quiet and your mind decides to betray you. That's when the real show starts. Not ghosts, not nightmares, Something deeper, something slicker. Picture it, a low hum in your soul. Notes you can't quite place, but somehow recognize a rhythm that matches your heartbeat. Just enough to make you question your own sanity. It's not insomnia. It's not anxiety. It's spiritual background noise playing on loop while you toss and turn, wondering why your dreams feel like haunted reruns. You wake up crying over your high school gym teacher, yeah, that one, and wonder what the hell is wrong with you. But here's the truth. Your subconscious isn't confused. It's being manipulated, hijacked by something you can't see, but absolutely feel. And don't even get me started on the voices you whisper to yourself. Do they take Venmo only half joking, but deep down, you're asking a real question. Who's really in control here? It's not just stress, it's not just trauma. It's something darker dancing behind your eyes, feeding off your doubt, your silence, your refusal to admit that maybe, just maybe, you're not alone in your head. So next time the clock hits 300 a.m., don't try to fall back asleep. Look at it as a warning. The devil's not knocking anymore. He's already inside, humming his midnight jazz and making himself at home. Here's the hard pill to swallow. You didn't get cursed by accident. You didn't trip and fall into chaos. No, this wasn't a random hit and run from fate. You opened the door. Yeah, you heard me right. You lit the candles. You said, maybe chaos is cute, and kissed it on the forehead like it was some bad boy archetype from a self-help book gone wrong. You dated the red flag, married the curse, called it passion, called it growth, and now your soul feels like a haunted Airbnb with no refund policy. Welcome to the consequences of letting the devil. And while he was waving at you like an old friend, see, he doesn't always sneak in through broken windows or whispered spells. Sometimes he walks right through the front door because you invited him with rose petals, with romanticized pain, with that little voice saying, maybe I just need to try harder. But here's the twist. You weren't tricked. Not exactly. You were seduced by the thrill, by the drama, by the twisted idea that maybe suffering is what makes us real, that maybe, just maybe, being messed up means you're finally living something authentic. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. It just leaves you wide open. So next time life starts feeling off, don't blame the stars. Don't blame karma. Look back at the moment you said yes, when every part of you should have screamed run. You ever tried to walk away from something that just felt wrong, toxic, draining, flat out, soul-crushing. And suddenly the universe decided to make your exit as painful as possible. Your car breaks down. Your phone dies at the worst possible. Second, you end up crying in a Wendy's parking lot at midnight, clutching a Frosty, like it's the only thing keeping you from full collapse. And you ask yourself why. Now, why does getting out feel harder than staying? And here's the truth. That wasn't bad timing. That was him, the one you were trying to leave, the one who doesn't play fair. The one with a voodoo doll, stitched together from your memories, your fears, your lingering guilt, poking it like a toddler, on a sugar high, and laughing while you fall apart. Because toxicity doesn't just sit back and let you go. It fights it, claws. It curses you with confusion disguised as closure. And the worst part, you keep thinking, if you just manifest harder. Write your dreams in cursive charge, your crystals under the blood moon. Maybe things will finally align. But what if those tools aren't helping? What if, while you're lighting sage and whispering affirmations, something darker is hijacking your energy, rewriting your intentions and turning your healing into a twisted game of spiritual whack-a-mole. You think you're cleansing your space, but there's a literal hellhound sitting on your vision board, growling every time you get close to your goals. Yeah, that's not in your head, that's the devil playing house guest. And he's not leaving any time soon, unless you decide to stop inviting him back in. You keep writing your dreams in cursive, like the universe gives a damn about your handwriting. You charge your crystals under the blood moon, like they're smartphones needing one last % of power. You whisper affirmations into your mirror like you're casting a spell that should work, if only you believed hard enough. But here's the twist. While you're manifesting, someone or something is manipulating. Because, let's talk about that vision board. Yeah, the one with your goals, your dream life, your 2025 glow-up. You ever notice how every time you get close to something real, something shifts, a sudden setback, a ghosting, a breakdown at 200 a.m. over text messages you should have never sent, and somehow you're right back where you started, confused, exhausted, and wondering why your dreams feel like haunted escape rooms with no exit. It's not that you're cursed. It's that you're distracted while you're out here, burning sage and arguing with Siri. The devil's in the background, doing TikTok dances on your trauma. He doesn't need to stop you directly. He just needs you unfocused long enough to forget what you were even reaching for. And the worst part, you bought into the vibe. You let the illusion convince you that healing looks like suffering, that growth feels like chaos, that pain must mean progress. But what if it doesn't? What if real power isn't in the candles or the crystals or the affirmations, but in recognizing who's been pulling the strings behind them all you ever call customer support, and realize you're not the valued client. No, you're the glitch in the system, the problem they're trying to fix by making things worse. That's exactly what it feels like when you start questioning your reality, when you're drowning in an existential crisis, and all you want is a lifeline, but the only number that answers is his 247 support straight from hell, having an existential meltdown. Press 1 to text your ex at 200 a.m., even though it's a terrible idea. Press 2, feeling the sudden urge to burn everything down just because it's Tuesday. Press 3, and guess what? He picks up every time. Because he's invested. You're not just another soul passing through. You're his favorite project, his pet experiment in self-sabotage, and every time you press a button, you give him more control. You keep praying for peace, but you entertain war like it's your weekend hobby. You light incense, whisper intentions, and hope for clarity. Then invite confusion back in with red wine and bad decisions. See the pattern. He doesn't need to steal your soul. You hand it over in pieces every time you ignore your gut, every time you call pain growth, every time you stare in the mirror and say, maybe I deserve this spoiler alert. You don't need an exorcism. You need a wake-up call, loud enough to shake your bones. Because once you hear it, once you really hear it, the devil stops laughing. He knows you're on to him. The devil didn't steal your soul. You gave it to him, piece by piece, candle by candle, every time you said yes. When your gut screamed run, you handed him another thread of your power. Every time you called pain growth, toxicity, passion, and chaos, a lesson you reinforced, his hold. You built his throne out of your silence, your compromises, your willingness to suffer, just to feel like you belonged. And he sat back and watched you do it. No tricks, needed no contracts, signed in blood, just quiet. Surrender masked as self-improvement. You thought you were evolving, but really you were just making peace with the cage. That's his genius move. He doesn't have to chase you. You keep coming back, begging for closure, texting at 200 a.m., repeating the same cycles like they're new scripts, and every time you do, he leans back, smiles, and says, "See, she still wants me." But here's the raw, unfiltered truth. Darling, you're not cursed, you're comfortable. And comfort is where the devil does his best work. He tucks you in at night with lies, served on a silver spoon. He whispers, "Don't fight back. This is just who you are now." He makes dysfunction feel familiar, makes fear feel safe, makes suffering look like strength. But once you see it, once you really see it, the whole illusion starts to crack. You're not broken, you're battle-tested. You're not weak, you're wounded and still standing. And that makes you dangerous, because once you see the trick, the whole illusion collapses. The candles melt, the spells reverse. The shadows shrink back into corners where they belong, and suddenly the devil isn't smiling anymore. He runs, not because he's afraid of you. No, he knows you. But now, you know him too. You see the pattern. You hear the lies for what they are. You feel the manipulation wrapped in sweet affirmations and disguised as love. And when you finally stop buying into it, when you stop feeding the cycle with your energy, your time, your belief, that's when his power fades, because dark magic only works if you don't name it. Once you do it, loses its grip. You were never a victim, never just some puppet, dancing on strings of pain and nostalgia. You were always the one holding the match, and now you're ready to burn it all down, not in destruction, but in rebirth. You're not just surviving this, you're rewriting the rules the devil thought he had. You figured out, thought he could wrap you up in shadows, sell you back, your fears as wisdom, and keep you dancing to his rhythm forever. But here you are, still standing, not cursed, not lost, just waking up. And that changes everything, because now you know the world doesn't run on logic. It runs on madness in a business suit, chaos in a cocktail dress. And sometimes the devil isn't hiding in hell. He's right next to you, pretending to be your life coach. So go ahead. Walk like you own the fire, because from here on out, the devil runs when you wake up, and he knows you've got him by the balls and the horns.